Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today. Couldn't ask for two better guys to join us as we wrap up the 2018 football season. I can't believe that there's only 2 games left. There's one that'll be played Wednesday night. That'll be the game between Frontier and Mohawk. And then on Thursday, that traditional game between Greenfield and Turners. Want to thank our underwriters here today, the 4 Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston. Also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield. Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. And Shawn Hubert of Hubie's, the great tavern and restaurant Avenue A in Turners Falls. Jeff Tirrell, Shawn Hubert, welcome aboard, gentlemen.
Bobby C., thanks for having us.
We talked about a good season at the beginning of the year. We were wondering where things were going to go. You guys came on in August, and we had a chance to talk a little bit about the season. Well, now we're wrapping things up. We're into the final week of the season. And honestly, guys, there were some really good things that happened, a couple of really cool things that happened. And then there were things and a lot of expectation that people probably were a little down on because of some of the things that did happen during the football season. And I thought that this is a great time for us to get together and let's talk turkey.
Well, coming into the season, I think we all knew that there was no local team that was a super team. You know, there wasn't an expectation of a team potentially going to the state tournament, making it all the way to Gillette. I think we knew that, you know, we had some teams that, we had Turners Falls 2 years ago. They made it to a state semifinal, lost to Maynard. We had Frontier make it to a Western Mass final down in Holyoke. They lost to an awesome Wacona team. They kind of took a step back. So we knew there weren't any super teams, but we knew we had a crew of good teams. And hey, listen, we sent 2 teams to the postseason. Turners made it back again. Frontier made it back again, even with all their losses. And to me, one of the big successes of the 2018 season was the fact that the Mohawk Warriors finished the season, because in September, Shawn, you and I were talking about it, after that Tech game, our first broadcast, we thought it was going to be a miracle that program was going to last the season, and they did, and they posted a few wins, too.
We'll talk about that on Wednesday quite a bit, but this will be, this Mohawk team, they have 1 win, but I'm never going to remember this team for their wins and losses. I'm going to remember this team for the team that held it together, because absolutely right. I mean, they finished their first game of the season with 10 guys. And they had 13 dressed to start the game. 3 got hurt. They're not going to make it through the season, but they went along. They had some very competitive games. Again, they've got 1 win. Probably going to lose to Frontier on Thanksgiving Eve, but again, that's not what they'll be remembered for. Doug McLeod, his coaches and his kids, and the support system that they have. Congratulations on a great season.
Do you know where the heart comes from for Mohawk? It comes from their head coach.
Oh,
really think about Dougie McLeod, man. That's a heart right there. That guy, you know, as a coach, you have to say to yourself when you're walking into your coach's office and you say to yourself, whew, man, we're down to like 10 players here, man. How are we going to pull this off? I mean, how are we going to do this? What about these kids' safety, you know, because we're going to have to play them for the whole game. We need everybody to play the whole time.
I'll tell you what.
It's a lot of work, 44 minutes. I mean, it's a lot of football.
I went down and talked to him before the Athol game, and they got pasted pretty good that night by Athol. But in the pregame, I went down to see Dougie, congratulate him on a good season thus far, and you know, wish him luck. He was excited. He was like a kid in a candy store. He was running around. He's like, see that kid over there? He's a sophomore. You see those 2 over there, they're freshmen. And he just, the energy that he was exuding, and again, on the field, they got it tucked to him that night. Athol, that was a good Athol team.
That was a good Athol team. We always said that when Athol played really well as a team, they were tough to beat.
Oh, absolutely.
But when they were down, whether it was offense down or defense down for the game, that's when they would struggle. But when that was a full package program, they could have beat anyone in the Intercounty League any day of the week.
And they took care of Mohawk pretty well that night. But I don't think it dampened their spirits at all. I think you're right. I mean, it just They were looking forward to each and every game, and they're looking forward to the future. And again, congratulations to all of those guys up there. Really fantastic.
I love that guy, and I do. You know, as much as people say Dougie can be like a hothead or whatever, I said no. You know, I know the old hothead of Doug McLeod, but I also know the true guy that he is. And I'm going to tell you right now, he is a true warrior. He really is. He's a true warrior up there.
He was stealing bases on me up 13 runs. You know, come on, man. I thought the guy liked me, but No, that's somebody said, nope, that's what he does. I'm like, all right, well, I won't take it personally then, but he plays to the bell, man. And hey, if you're going to coach that way, you coach that way.
Yeah, he's in it to win it. And you talked about heart, and some coaches, their heart is right there on their sleeve. Other coaches, you have to kind of, the heart's there somewhere, but they keep it hidden.
He's got it right here where everybody can see it.
There, so.
And he still loves it.
He does love it. He really does.
You can tell.
And so I asked him a question, guys, so I could share this with you. I asked him a question. I said the other day, because we had the Chuck Minor 3-on-3 basketball tournament over the weekend. So I said to him, how's things look for next year? He said, well, I got a few middle schooler kids who said that they were going to come play. And if everybody who said they were going to play are going to play, we're going to be okay. Yeah. So I think what it comes down to is if the commitment will be made from the younger kids that are in 8th grade that are going to come up. But here's what he's going to be dealing with now. If he can keep that, like you said, that kid's a freshman, that kid's a sophomore, bring up the 8th graders. This team could maybe be a team that could do okay in 3 years.
It's
so
fun to see them do it. We've seen them through the years do it, where they've put together just the right combination of kids to be able to be that successful. And it's always fun when they can do that, because it's special, because it can't happen all the time.
Yeah,
Very true.
The right kids at the right time.
Yeah.
Again, they have very little margin for error. Turner's Falls football with the co-op with Pioneer, very little margin for error. That's the problem. Yeah. It's the confluence of getting the kids to come out and just and capitalizing on the athleticism, because the kid, those kids that came down from Pioneer. I mean, it's not obviously Wyatt Keith.
It was huge.
We're going to talk about him, but it wasn't just him. I mean,
absolutely not.
And
first of all, you had the number 1 rated quarterback in the league with Dodge. Yeah. You had a guy with 2,000 yards who was your back, and you had 2 guys that were receivers that were pretty darn good, and then you threw Wallace in there as a little extra. Yeah. So, I mean, that Turner's Falls team also had a darn good line.
Not lacking, lacking in numbers, but not lacking in talent.
Not lacking in talent,
really,
exactly.
And all these local schools that are down in numbers, the talent is there. There's just not enough of the kids that are playing right now. But hopefully, Mohawk can keep going. Turners can keep their thing going. Pioneer, is Pioneer ever going to come back as a varsity program? Probably not. But as long as those kids up in the North County have a place to go in a program that just does it the right way, then
Pioneer may not be a school in a few years. You know what I mean? That's a whole bigger picture thing going on there. But
now, we talked about Mohawk, and like you said, congratulations, Dougie, man. I'm proud of you, brother. You had a rough season, but boy, you made things a lot more comfortable for your kids of the way that you presented yourself, and I thank you for that, Doug. Now let's go on the other side, get the coin of the Frontier. Frontier, some good athletes, man. I'm thinking about the athletic ability of these kids down at Frontier.
Always.
Guys, it's special, man. You look at Hildreth, even as a quarterback, he's more of a general than he is really doing a lot. He can do everything. He can run the ball, he can pass, he can do whatever you need. He can run the show for you. But look at DeForest. Yeah. What about Samaski? He's only a freshman, guys. Mm-hmm. This kid's going to be nasty. Kirkendall is going to be sophomore. Amazing, too. Yep. They have a very, very talented team. They really do.
Yeah, it never stops. This as scary as this is, this was sort of their down year.
Right. I know.
They win the league championship last year. They make a Western Mass final, and they lost to a team that's awesome. So
they are talented.
No worries there. And then so they come back this year. They make the postseason, and they're going to bring back a lot of talent next year. So Frontier football, they just keep coming, man. Yep. Every year they keep coming. If this is their down year, that's not much of a dip, right?
I would like to have seen, and I thought, because they run the same system on offense, and they have for a long time, the double wings, they run the inside, the gives, and I would like to have seen him use Hildreth a little bit more in the early going as far as options and running him to the outside, because the kid could run.
He can run, and that's why they were able to have a good quarterback like him.
Well, he didn't throw the ball an awful lot, and they didn't really run him an awful lot through the first half of the season.
Last year he had the 2,000-yard rushers on his team.
Well, again, right, why would he? But but again, he had the athleticism to be able to be an option quarterback or a running quarterback, and until the end of the season, I think DeForest was nicked up, because you could tell there were some stretches of games where he wasn't there. I mean, he was there but not involved, but I don't think he was right the whole way.
Remember, Frontier's overtime loss to Turner's, that classic game.
Great game.
We did see Hildreth. He with his legs.
DeForest was out almost the whole second. He had one carry and one catch.
When it fell upon his shoulders, he got it done.
He did it, and I thought he could do it all season long.
Yeah.
Again, the wear and tear, maybe not. Maybe you leave him back in the pocket. You don't let him run around like that in case he gets dinged. But yeah, no, it was nice to see what he could do at the end of the season. I expected that from the beginning of the season, but like you said, when you got DeForest running the way he was, and Kirkendall, and again, it was a fun team to watch. Again, not the most talented Frontier team we've ever seen, but
very good.
A good team, fun to watch.
But I'll tell you right now, if you look at Samaski, 4.6 average per carry this season. I'll take that all day long, guys.
Freshman, yeah.
I'll take that all day long from a freshman.
Yeah, big kid too.
But
Kirkendall's a big kid.
Also has a brother, Johnny, who's a pretty big boy on the line too, to sort of help his way for his bro.
That helps.
I mean, they have some good kids down there, man. And you know,
good feeder program.
I want to bring you guys. I want to bring you guys in for something that I think is pretty special, and I want to share it with you two guys because it's really touched my heart that we have a school in Franklin County who's able to have champions in every sport with only a certain amount of athletic people. And that is Frontier Regional. Their golf team, undefeated during the regular season. They go in, they make it to state with Billy Fitzpatrick as their coach.
Yeah.
Sean McDonald, another 14th consecutive Western Mass Championship, goes down and plays Bourne, which is probably one of the best volleyball programs in New England, forget Massachusetts, okay?
Yeah, right.
But you bow out to a very good team, right?
Yeah, of course.
So they get there. Then you end up having Carson Carey and their cross-country team compete in the States. Yep. And then they got their girls team. Then their soccer team ends up coming back from a weird year with up and down. And Coach Horton, Evan Horton, for his first time, coaching the kids this year for their soccer program, they get smacked up in week 1 against Belchertown. They come back and they end up playing those guys for a chance at Western Mass and going for a championship.
Basketball competes,
and then you look
baseball competes.
and then you look at the field hockey program and Missy Maher going up against Aaron, in Greenfield. I mean, guys, there's all these different sports teams that are all watered down, and they're all winners at Frontier Regional High School. That is pretty impressive, guys.
Absolutely.
For a fall sports program to have that.
Yes.
Really.
Anytime a school from this area can escape and get out to the States, you know what I mean?
I know
and even compete at that level would be amazing. But for what Frontier's done here in the last little bit, and we're saying goodbye to Marty Sanderson this year. Marty will be stepping down.
Marty's stepping down. I'm about to tell you, though, what an awesome job, man.
Absolutely. Always
and you
a
know
pleasure.
what, guys? We're pretty lucky to have a wonderful guy to deal with Marty.
Absolutely.
I love Marty. I've known Marty a long time. And, I knew him even when I was younger, before I even got into doing the games with you guys. But I've known him and his brother, for Gary forever. But I just want to say that what a class act. And he was a true testament to helping to bring great sports to that school.
He worked hard.
He worked hard. Hired good people, too.
I will always remember 2008 and taking that team to a state final. And
the Clark brothers. That was amazing.
And Bell and Pepin and that whole crew.
Was it Gary?
In the States.
Gary Degon. The guard there. He was great. That kid was great too. That was a great group of kids, man.
You're right. Absolutely right about Frontier. To find a struggling athletic program at Frontier, it's hard to do. They're at least decent, if not very good, if not state final.
Close to competitive. Very competitive.
They got it going on down there for sure.
Pretty special guys.
Yep, very cool.
So Frontier, I think, is going to hand it to Mohawk pretty good, but I think it'll be nice because I think that knowing Coach Gordon and knowing Coach Dredge, they're going to get all these younger guys a little piece of the pie and let them enjoy themselves on Turkey Day. And, of course, that Dougie's going to make sure his kids give 150% like they have all year. So,
one of those things, if Mohawk can keep it close, even for a little while, and as it gets if they tick-tock, you know what I mean? Get into the second quarter, maybe if it's still kind of close, and you never know. But it certainly doesn't look like it's going to be the year again, Mohawk with the one win this season, and obviously Frontier is pretty battle-hardened now after some of the teams that they've played, down the stretch, and getting beat by South Hadley there. I mean, that was just a good football team.
And then South Hadley gets smacked up by that Wacona team, who's really good, guys. And I think
and then Wacona lost.
And then they end up going up in the semifinals against another powerhouse team, and they get beat. So I'm saying, wow, is Division 7 that powerful in the state of Massachusetts? I mean, look at that Division 7, pretty darn good.
The upper part. Wacona lost 21-6.
I know it. I was shocked too, and especially after they really handed it to South Hadley pretty good.
Yeah, they were good. They were good.
We saw Wacona against Northampton, and they were just off the charts skilled offensively. They have everything.
They do. Right. They have quite the package, man. So it's just an interesting thing, And then we slide into good old Thursday. Thursday morning, it's going to be a very chilly day, boys. And I'll tell you, it's going to be a very chilly night for you on the night before Thanksgiving, too. Not going to sugarcoat anything there.
Oh, we're going to freeze. We're going to freeze.
We were just saying, we had some of the worst weather. That Friday night game at Frontier against Amherst, it poured the whole game.
That was a mud ball.
Next day, we were up in the Berkshires, and it was freezing cold with wind gusts. What were you saying, 40, 50 miles an hour?
Oh, yeah, easy.
Cold. I had to over-enunciate because I couldn't feel my face. Like, I knew I wasn't talking quite properly. It was sucking my will to broadcast. It really was at that moment. Like, but yeah, now this looks like it's going to be a couple of chilly night and followed up by a chilly morning. But it'll be good football. So
I'll never forget the day that I think it was a few years back. We ended up having the bleachers shuffled off of over at GHS. Maybe it was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Borbo senior year.
Was that 2 years ago, or was that 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Boy, that was ugly.
You guys were out there shelving when we got there. They were still
because they ended up having the plow. They ended up bringing the snow blowers out and trying to get everything ready for the game.
Aldean's out there with a shovel. I mean, literally,
it was quite the coup that helped for that.
Yeah, I was shocked they played.
I was too.
The Greenfield Turner's Turkey Day game was postponed only one time. That was back in '71 because of a snowstorm over at Old Sheffield.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure they're going Friday afternoon or Saturday or something.
Nasty.
And they played.
Yeah.
And they played. It was a good game.
And it was a great game too.
And we had a good game too.
Yeah.
The day we had it's a wonderful thing to watch. Well, guys, I just want to say one thing. You two guys have done an amazing job of what you do. The way you work together as a team is pretty incredible. But I just want to say, this Turner's Falls team, they played as a team this year too.
Absolutely.
If you really look and see what Turner's did, bringing in 5 new guys, Coach LaPointe's really meeting 5 new guys. He's meeting 5 new players. Hello, welcome to our team. And the way that those kids work together, the way that those kids were able to do what they did this year, Turner's Falls to me was the very impressive team of the Inter-County League to me this year.
Yeah, and I think integrating the talent, devising schemes that maximize the talent, which Chris is really good at. He doesn't always run the same offense. He looks at what he has and decide. We saw a lot of single back formations with Wyatt. Why wouldn't you do that? But in terms of being a team and keeping the big picture in mind, you're a high school athlete. If you're John Torres, you have you made really good contributions last year, and you struggle with injury, and then obviously Wyatt kind of takes over, but then he got back in late in the year, and he played his role.
He did.
He played his role within the team structure, and that's why it works. That's why they've had that's the biggest reason why they've had the success they've had.
He could be the X factor on Thanksgiving too, because he had 5 carries for about 30 yards, I think, against East Hampton.
Yeah.
Followed that up with a 3 or 4 carry game the next game, but he's
they're
got
going to
his
be king
legs
on
under him.
Yeah, the wave's going to be king on 11.
Again,
Watch out for
throw Torres in at the fullback, and he'll get a few touches, I'm sure, and he'll be. The kid had a great year last year. He played all banged up all year long, and he would have been the featured back, obviously, but he didn't make it back until week 6 or 7, right? I mean, so he still couldn't play.
Right.
Still rehabbing.
You're a
that
big
injury,
fan of this kid too.
Oh, absolutely.
You are.
Again, what he went through.
As a guy who is a big Turner's, you're a Turner's guy yourself, but as a Turner's guy, you should be a fan of John Torres. But as a football guy, which is what I am, looking into the whole picture, how can you not be a John Torres fan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, the kid's a hard worker. Riley Castine, how can you not be a Riley Castine fan?
Right.
Those are kids who would leave it out on the floor.
Look at Andy Craver. Look at Andy Craver.
Andy Craver had the most unbelievable
5'7", 135. He is literally the smallest guy by weight on the roster.
Yes. But
the kid's everywhere. You know what I mean? The kid has had such a great. Ricky was a great ball player. His older brother. He got beat up with some injuries too through his career, but Andy has exceeded my expectations and any expectation I ever would have had for that kid. Unbelievable.
But I want to say one thing about Jaden Whiting, and I want to give credit where credit's due. Jaden Whiting, he being the player that he was last year, coaches had to watch for him too.
Yeah.
So with him being able to run and do the routes that he needed to run, he was opening up the field for Kyle to have room for guys like Jake Wallace and guys like Craver to give them a chance. So Jaden did the exact job that he needed to do there, and maybe he didn't have as many catches and numbers that he might have had last year. But if you look at what his role was this year, I thought he played his role pretty well too, guys.
I think he leads the team, actually. He's got 26 catches, so he's had a couple of quiet weeks these last couple of weeks.
Yes, the last couple of weeks.
He had one catch against Greylock and 2 against Huzik.
That's it. The last couple of games that I was at. Yep.
But before that, I think he still leads the team. And Craver might have him in yards, but I think he has him in catches. So they're between the two.
But isn't that great, though? You're still running your role, though. You're still playing your role on the team.
I tell you, you're a defensive coordinator. There's so much to account for with Big Blue. I mean, it starts with Wyatt, obviously. The numbers speak for themselves. Over 2,000 yards plus and counting with one more game to go. But the guys we're talking about, it's not even that they just have one receiver. I mean, they got 2, 3 different guys they can go to.
That's right.
And and the games are won and lost in the trenches. And I thought the line, for the most part, had a really, really good year.
They did.
Really good year.
Wyatt
really
Keith caught 2 balls against Huzik, and those were the first 2 catches of the season for him. So they didn't throw the ball to him out of the backfield at all.
No.
Until that game. And he had 2
because
15-yard
Dodge
catches.
had 3 really good receivers that he could go to. And that was a great 4th option.
Again, a back out of the backfield, and hadn't done it all year. So
could have.
He's got 2 catches for 30 yards on the season.
Didn't realize
but
it.
now you've got that option as well. If you're Greenfield, you got to look at and understand that Keith can come out of the backfield and catch the ball as well.
Good athlete.
Oh, and good kid too.
And let's be honest,
Great
guys.
kid.
He scared me a lot this year. And you tell me if he didn't scare you. The way he runs
He's
into
upright.
a crowd, his body's upright, guys.
Upright.
And I'm like, as a coach, I'm like, oh boy, this kid's really good. But
I never saw him take a big hit. Like I understand what you're saying.
He's a bull though himself.
Oh yeah.
And he comes, and the way he comes off the line into that crowd, his momentum compared to a lineman. It's like a Mack truck coming at you guys.
He's got vision.
No, he's that quick.
He sees the field. I didn't see him take too many pops that he wasn't expecting. You know what I mean?
Okay,
I didn't see him too many times
but
where
he's
he was
upright.
upright.
But he's an upright
No, he was
runner.
much like reminded of Tavares Brewington a little bit back in the day when Tavares he was a big, about the same height, 6 feet, 6'1", and that kid ran upright, and he would take a shot every now and again.
Sure.
Keith just he was elusive. He's
Very
quick,
elusive,
the
very
vision,
elusive, yes.
And fast. You know what I mean?
Oh, really fast.
Somebody could have him lined up and he'd go right by
every
him.
time he hit the corner, he was gone.
Oh, if he got cornered.
And that's what was great for him. Once he got the hole, there was nobody that was
even through the tackles. Again, he looks like he's coming through upright, but the next thing you know, he's just boom and he's gone.
Yeah, Greenfield defensively Thursday, they're going to have to really clog things up on that line and really make him earn those yards and just distract him and disrupt him at the line of scrimmage. Because you're right, once he gets into the secondary, He's probably if he gets either on the edge or into the secondary, he's probably gone. He's probably gone. So that is going to be a huge chore for Greenfield's defense.
Fun to watch. He's been fun to watch.
Not that they can't do that. We've seen Greenfield D up at times this year. They have the ability to do it, but they have to come with everything. They have to come with everything on Thursday to have a chance here.
But Dodgers play action off those runs. You know what I mean?
Too,
and now it's
that's what I was saying earlier.
There's a lot of things to account for with the Big Blue because they have so many weapons on the offensive
side. Did you see
side.
last week? Castine ran in a touchdown. Anthony Peterson ran in a touchdown. That Calais kid ran in a touchdown. So they were using all kinds of guys out of the backfield.
Well, it was really great.
So again, more options,
really
some things they could
really
do.
Smart for Chris to do that too. You know.
Yes.
And he's a good coach, guys.
He's a great coach.
And I have a lot of respect for him. And I think he's one of the best coaches around. And we're very fortunate to have a guy like him in our area to teach these kids.
No doubt.
Now, let's talk about this for a minute. Turners, you got beat by a big play last year on Turkey Day.
Yeah.
And it was tough. And it was a hard loss for that team. Come out the first time they play each other this year, absolutely whooped Greenfield bad. I mean, I was there. That windy, cold, rotten night. It was a really, really, really cold night that night. But Greenfield, they got handed to by Turners, okay? Turners had every chance to beat Huzik at home, and they should have been to that playoff. Really, they should have been to that next level to go. And they just couldn't get it done. A couple of mistakes hurt them and whatever. So the game that's left for the year for Turners is Thanksgiving. You lost last year on a big play. You already won big earlier this year. You got to keep the momentum, right? I mean, you got to keep the momentum. You got to go out and you got to have the attitude that you want to win 55-0. Wow. That's the attitude you want to have because you don't want to let it slip away like it did last year. They were up by a couple touchdowns, guys. Greenfield came back and found a way to win that game. And it was in the second half.
Well, and this may be Chris LaPointe's last game.
We heard that.
I don't know that for a fact.
But I've heard rumors, but I haven't been heard it from him.
And again, he's been hanging on for a couple of years here. Again, as his son's older, he's playing ball with his job and his family, and he puts a lot of effort into it. So one of these years was going to be his last year. This may be it. If it is, I don't see those kids losing this game.
I don't either.
Are you kidding me?
No way.
Especially if they know it's his last game.
Oh, you betcha.
We're going to go out and lose that game?
No. And you know what? You want to try to beat the team on Thanksgiving on their field because they took away your feast last year.
Even better.
Okay? Even better. That's my point. So I think that for sure that Turner's definitely is going to win this game. And that's my opinion on this one. And,
I mean, there are some times in these Turkey Day games, depending on what kind of season you've had and what kind of kids you have, where you have to really search really deep to find true motivation to win the game.
Yeah, right.
This is right there.
Right.
This is right.
Here it is. Here's the feast, baby.
Especially.
Right. And that's what Greenfield has lacked over the last few years, right? I mean, those big games, they get to them, and then you just can't. Belchertown this year, Athol last year.
They've had tough Novembers the last few years.
Yep.
They've had really tough Novembers. They have a good thing going, and they have a dip.
Yep.
And
But 4th and 23 will always be a memory in GHS because of that play. It was a call that was very, very smart, and it worked.
I'll never forget Bird laying in the end zone with the ball when he scored. Just the way, just the thrill of victory, man. You could see it. That guy had it, and it was great.
And RJ, tremendous career at Greenfield High School, and he's going to have something to say on Thanksgiving morning for sure, because he's heard a lot about Wyatt, and he's going to have something to say for sure. But the guy that I've loved to watch play, in addition, that doesn't get nearly the attention, and I'm going to miss watching him play. And if I'm a football coach, I want 11. I want 11 Danny Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
I want 11 Vegas. If I get 11 Vegas, I'm not going to lose.
Can I say this? I'm going to go right into Greenfield right now. I was pretty critical last week about the play calling and the way that plays were being called for GHS over the year. And I figured out that with that talent that's on Greenfield this year, which, guys, Greenfield had a pretty good talented team of guys that are on that team. There's some talent there.
There is.
There is, right? If they lose, it's 6-5. That's a disappointing season, I think. I don't know what you guys would think, but I think 6-5 for Greenfield this year is considered a disappointing season. But like you said, it would have all happened in the month of November, guys. It would have been the collapse that happened in the last month of the season.
Well, they just need to go down to Belchertown and win that game.
I know.
And you would think they would be highly motivated to do so, yet they had one of their worst games of the season.
Yep. And you look
I don't understand that.
In the McCann Tech game, let's be honest, you already knew that was going to be what it was. Yeah. But let's talk about this kid Bird for a minute. RJ Bird, incredible player.
Yep.
And do you know that every single game he would get quoted and he would always thank his line? He would always thank his teammates. And everybody who's out there saying, well, it's always about RJ Bird. You know what? RJ Bird is called a player. And if Jeff Tirrell is my coach and I'm the player, and Jeff Tirrell says, Bobby, this is what I want you to do for my team, then I'm going to listen to my coach, okay? So all the people that are out there criticizing RJ Bird of whatever going on or whatever's happening, you better embrace this kid. Because I'm going to tell you what, man, he's a workhorse is what he is.
He's been special.
And that kid is 209 yards away from making 2,000 yards in a season where him and the kid from across the river could both possibly share that thing on Thursday morning.
If Turner's hadn't held him to 20 yards
he would have
in
done
that first meeting,
that's right.
He'd be a heck of a lot. I mean, if he had 100 yards in that game.
It's true.
But
be a lot closer.
I don't see him getting it.
I don't see him getting it. How do you get 209 yards against a team that already shut you down once already?
I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
He could have played more in that game last week. He could have racked up a bunch of yards if Touch wanted to leave him in there.
But then now you're just pursuing a number.
That's right. It's about the number. You want to be able to make sure that you have an opportunity to win as a team first.
Touchy played that game correctly.
Team is first.
Yes.
Team is first.
No. And the young guys got a lot of good experience. That whole second team was in basically the second half, but by the third quarter they were all in there.
But you have to because
it's perfect.
And listen,
perfect.
Are you going to start building for the future now because of the group of seniors you're losing?
Of course.
And I feel bad for what Jeff said because I agree 100%. Owen Phelps is a darn good quarterback, guys. Yep. And Vega is a pretty darn good receiver.
Very good.
You got a 2,000-yard back over here, and you got two other guys that are pretty good as well.
Yep.
But there's games where there was only 3-4 attempts for Owen Phelps to get in a whole game.
He didn't throw one last week.
He didn't throw one at all last week.
But that was the game plan.
Right. Yeah. But my point is, guys, is, doesn't that hurt giving your quarterback a little of any kind of, like, he needs motivation too. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He needs a little bit of motivation.
Frontier quarterbacks don't throw the ball often. You know what I mean? It depends on the system.
But they know that that's the role, though. They know that that's the role.
Yeah.
And then you look at a guy like Hildreth. He's playing both ways anyway, so he's busy. Okay. I just think that you have to really mix it up, and I think Danny Vega is a huge talent on that team. And I'll tell you, my nephew may not be the greatest player, but I'll tell you what. Defensively, he's very good because he's very long. He has long arms and he's tall. So he can be able to be a good defender.
He does a great job.
But let's be honest, he's no Danny Vega when it comes to receiver. Danny has that special.
Runs good routes.
We know him as Noonie around our household. The Noon man. We know him as the Noon, but he's great.
He makes plays.
He makes plays,
and that's what I want. That's what I want from the guys that are supposed to be my playmakers. Convert first. He moves the chains. He gets into the end zone.
Runs after the catch.
I like guys like that for sure.
And another guy who can hit well is Hazelton. He's a hard hitter. So there's a guy who can also be a nice helper for you when you've got the ball. If you're R.J. Bird and you got a kid as tough as Hazelton blocking for you, he's no wimp, man. He can knock you down.
And he had 50 yards last week on 4 or 5 carries.
And he got a chance 4 or 5 carries.
And he'll get 4 or 5 carries in this game.
There's no doubt.
He'll get maybe 10 depending on how it goes, but he'll have his touches.
Yeah. But let's be honest. Wouldn't it be wonderful if GHS was able to say that, yes, we lost our regular season game earlier in the year, but we came back and we won Turkey Day for the 2nd straight year in a row? That's got to be in the minds of those kids and the coaches over at GHS. We're looking for 2 in a row, baby.
There's no doubt.
No doubt, right?
I was hoping they'd play 3 times this year. There was a chance that Greenfield had beaten Belchertown.
And I was really thinking if they beat Belchertown that was going to be the game.
It could have been. They could have been the 2-3 and then played against each other. And then Turkey Day. And so what would have happened there? I mean, again, if Turner's beats them the 2nd time, now you're going for the trifecta. Or if Greenfield wins that 2nd one in the playoffs, and now you got the 3rd game.
Then I got to listen to Rich Laguerre and
kind of fun.
Luke Collins. And,
yeah. You don't want to go for 3 in that matchup.
Right. But I just want to tell you guys that when it comes to Greenfield Turners, the rivalry is there, but I just wish it was more there with the community. I think the community just doesn't come out as much anymore for that, like they used to. I know everybody used to say there was 60 kids on a team. There was always 30 on Turners and 60 on Greenfield. So there was 90 players playing. Now there's only 40 playing. That don't matter to me. My thing is Turkey Day should be a way that everyone in the community who comes out gets there, watches the game, or they tune in and they enjoy the broadcast of Shawn Hubert, Jeff Tirrell on Bear Country 95.3. So either way, people are being able to catch the game. And I think that we're really sort of lost its luster and lost that feel of the old days. Even if we could get 1,000 people there, I'd be psyched. But I do remember the 4,000 people at GHS and at Turner's back in the day, guys. And I remember when they had the bonfire of all bonfires where every person in the community would show up and yell for these kids the night before. I mean, it was a big deal. It was a big deal back in the 80s, and back in the 70s, and even back in the 60s. It was a big deal. They packed the house. And things have just gotten smaller with not only that, but population. Because think about it. A lot of these families don't have 7 or 8 kids anymore like when we were growing up. Now you got 2 kids. The numbers are down. But that doesn't mean that the community that still holds as many people in each town as we do, that we can't bring more folks out for the big game on Thanksgiving morning. Because I surely enjoy it. I really do.
Absolutely.
Jeff Tirrell, I know that you got stuff you have to rip with, but I just want to say you've done an amazing job. And I just want to get your prediction on what you think is going to happen on Turkey Day. It's going to be a little bit of a battle here under very cold conditions. I think the ground's going to be hard, Jeff, because of the rain we just got here.
Bobby, I'm going to give you
Let's do it.
I'm going to give you my prediction.
Okay.
That my feet and all of my extremities will be frozen solid by the end of the football game Wednesday night and by the end of the game on Thanksgiving morning.
But your wife packs you mittens. You have mittens. You bring mittens to the game. You pulls them out. You probably the first quarter. You got my wife paid me some mittens, so he puts them on. He got his mittens on. So
So what do you think of Mr. Mitten Man?
Thanks.
Sorry. I was hoping she'd pack me some.
Hey, yeah, really. You know, Hubert's like this.
I've Frontier comfortably, Turner's by a score.
A score?
A score. Much closer. Remember, the first matchup at Turner's, being Greenfield and Turner's, it was 14-8 at halftime. Greenfield had the ball to begin the second half. We thought we were going to get the game that we expected, and Greenfield, their worst half of the season.
Worst half of the season.
35-8. I would be surprised if it's anything like that. Turner's falls somewhat comfortably, Frontier very comfortably on Wednesday night. That's my pick.
Sounds about right.
All right.
No, it sounds about right. So, thank you, sir.
All right.
And we're back here at the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C., and I just want to say that Jeff Tirrell, such a great, talented guy, man. I'm telling you. One of the best play-by-play guys I know. And after really watching that Monday Night Football game this past week, I wanted Shawn Hubert and Jeff Tirrell on that broadcast. Oh, my God, did I ever. But I just want to say that we want to thank our underwriters here today, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant, located in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, also by our friends over at Hubie's, the Tavern and Restaurant Avenue Way in Turner's Falls, and by Lisa Alper of Alper Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Shawn, first of all, thank you for supporting the kids with our underwriters. You've been one of the best ever since we started the show over 3 years ago. You've been with us.
Happy to do it.
And it means a lot to us. It really does. But I want to tell you what else means a lot to us. The great commitment that you've made for almost 30 years to doing high school football.
It's been fun.
You made a huge commitment, brother.
It's been great. It's been great. I just kind of got thrown into it, you know. Ann Benash knew my mom.
Oh,
30 years ago. And so she said, hey, Shawn's kind of a sports guy. You know, maybe tried. I didn't know an awful lot about the industry and never even considered it. But I met Jeff up at Mohawk on a Saturday afternoon in 1991, and we were off and running. So it's just kind of been a year-to-year thing since then, and we've fortunately been both able to fit it around our lives. And throughout, this was our 28th season this year that we're wrapping up this week. So again, it's year to year. I'm looking forward to next year if it happens. That'd be great.
Well, it will happen.
Love to get to 30 years. You know, that'd be kind of cool.
And you will. And you couldn't ask for
fun.
a better
Been fun.
team as you and him.
He's easy. It's we could sit and eat popcorn and watch a game and do the same thing. You know, it feels like that sometimes. You know,
because you guys, but you also know each other though.
Yep.
You know, you can be able to jump in at a time where most guys would be wondering when we can jump in, and you got that down with him.
It's easy. It's easy. And we laugh. You know what I mean? We have a good time. We both still very much enjoy the kids and the coaches and the games and this, everything about it. So I've been blessed, very fortunate to have been able to hang on for this long. And again, having Jeff, if the day came that Jeff was out for whatever reason, I don't know. I think I'd have to consider if I wanted to keep doing it or not.
Right.
I guess I'd cross that bridge when I came to it. But yeah, 28 years almost. Next season we'll hit 400 games.
That's just amazing.
400 football games.
400 football games.
Yeah.
That's a lot of football.
We're at 380 something now.
It's a lot of football.
A lot of football through the years. But again, just we approach every game with the same enthusiasm.
You do?
Now than we did 10, 20 years ago, however many years ago. And again, we just thoroughly enjoy doing it. I thoroughly enjoy Jeff. He's a great guy to work with, and he's just made it easy the whole way.
He's a true friend, man.
A good guy.
You know, him and I, it's like you and I, we're friends, man. You know, I could pick up the phone and I could ask you for a favor. You're there for me. You could do the same for me.
Absolutely.
And we have that same relationship between two of us. Chris Collins has joined in with us too. We have this group of people that are just we're all there for each other. You know.
Yeah, and everybody's good at what they do. You know what I mean? Everybody
we try our best anyway, right?
Oh yeah, listen, you're great. You step in and you're able. You fill in. I do a basketball game maybe once a year, and that's not my thing, but I enjoy it. Yeah, you know.
We put you right in there over at Turner's this past year. That was great.
That was nice.
We had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game. Yeah, all that. So, no. And just again, and the people at the station being committed to having this local football on the radio,
Thank God,
it starts with them. Because if they
poor
decide
kids
one
would
day,
never have it.
that could be Saga says, we're not going to do this anymore, then it doesn't happen. So we were fortunate that the station continues to believe in what we believe in and continue to support it as well. So
it's true. And you know what? I think what it comes down to is the community believes in us too.
Yep.
And I don't know how many times you get a compliment, but I can't believe during basketball season how many people come up to me and say, "Hey, we enjoy listening to you."
I'm surprised how many people listen. You know how many people say, "Hey, we're listening to the game," or it's pretty pervasive. I think. Well, you hear HAI in Bear Country on a lot of radios when you go into businesses in different places, and so certainly people are listening.
It's true.
And they listen to the ball game. games, and they pay attention. So
They do.
that's kind of neat too.
But you know what's nice is I'd be able to take all the sports information every week and bring it here to the TV.
Absolutely.
And being able to do this every week
Absolutely.
and share all these kids' stats and being able to talk
And
about
more in
these
depth
great things.
as well.
And more in
Yeah,
depth.
for you. Yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
really important
Yeah.
because I think every kid deserves to get a little compliment here and there, right?
If
It
you're
helps
out there,
build
man,
them up. That's
why
right.
not?
They're out there working hard like everyone else.
Yep.
You know, Shawn, I just want to say that the football season, as we really, we talked about the Turkey Day teams. I wanted to slide a little bit into some of the other teams that we have in our area here. And one of them is the Franklin County Tech School. Shawn, who would have thought that 10 years ago that you could be able to stand here today and say that the Tech School has lights. The Tech School football team has the most players of any football program in Franklin County. Look what the Tech School program's been able to do with their sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're eventually going to be one of those teams that is finally going to catch on. And I think that they're going to end up being a force to be reckoned with down the road.
Well, they've competed through the years. They've had a few teams here and there.
Yes.
Vasquez, I remember, they had the back there, and he was really good. And they've had a few pieces here and there. But I think right now what you're looking at is the totality of what Joe Gamache has done.
Amazing.
But he does it the right way. Mike Blanchard, the other assistants that he's had, and the school supports it. It comes from the top, so
they do.
They get the support from the top, and they put in lights this year, which was amazing. And of course, they did that. There were kids in their electrical department that put those in.
That's right.
So they were able to defray the cost, A, and B, give their kids experience doing it. And it was amazing when they flipped the lights on. They had a nice presentation, and it was perfect. And again, that's they've been definitely on the rise as far as the program goes. They do it the right way, and Joe Gamache is another one of the very best coaches in the area that we have, for sure.
He really is.
Yeah.
And the kids love him.
doubt. Oh, yeah.
He has respect, and that is really huge.
He just does it the right way.
So I was really thinking about this for a minute, and I'm like, wow, we have 6 that we talk about on this show. There's 6. Because we don't really talk much about Athol and Mahar really much on this particular show.
No.
Because we have the 6 schools.
Yeah.
And now that 2 of them are joined together, as we really don't have much now. Because, and I'm going to tell you what, I just really hope and pray that someday, that when we finally have to make decisions on what we're going to do, that we make the right decision that's going to give the kids a chance to play football, and we don't demolish we don't ruin it. My point is if someday Mohawk does have to fold, Pioneer's already gone. What do we do? Do we run just 2 teams out of this area? Make a decision that we try to keep a 50-man, 40-man roster, try to give kids a chance to be able to compete with each other and be able to work each week on practices to make themselves better because there's more manpower. What do we do?
Well,
you're going to wonder, is this ever going to be a community that could be down to 2 or 3 teams in Franklin County at one time? Or do you think that we'll be able to hang on with the 5 that we have now?
No, I don't believe that. No. And that even less to do with society and the other things we talked about, why kids don't play or what they do or whatever, but more, I think, the way that the school systems are run and the way it comes down from the state, to be honest with you. The schools are underfunded, and that's intentional in my belief. The idea is that they would like to have a couple of regional schools in this area. In 20 years, I wouldn't be surprised if we were down to 2 schools.
So 2 teams.
There'd be 2 teams, but everybody who wants to play can play. But
of course.
You won't have Pioneer, and you won't have Mohawk, and you may not have Turner's Falls. It's going to be something. Tech's very strong right now. Frontier's very strong. Greenfield's very strong.
Very true.
So there will be offshoots from that. There will be combinations of Mohawk, Turner's, Pioneer, Tech. So we will lose those programs. So eventually you're right. And again, it isn't even the society that's driving this now. It's really the state and the school systems, and pretty soon Pioneer's not even going to have a school, let alone a football team, right? I mean, it's not looking good for them.
It's not.
Mohawk's struggling. They're working hard to keep it together up there as well, but not a lot of people moving there, not a lot of industry, not a lot of jobs. So people don't move their families there to find work and send their kids to that school system. It's just not happening.
It's true.
So
numbers are down. You look at a graduating class from 10 years
schools.
ago, and you look at a graduating class now. It's a huge difference in 10 years. So, like you said, what's it going to be like in 20?
Half.
It's a really good point.
Yeah. So I think, again, we will see a change. And they were talking about. I had read people that speculated this might be the last Greenfield Turner's Falls game ever. That Turner's Falls may not have enough kids for a program next year, even if they combine with Pioneer, just because of the kids they have on the roster, all the seniors they have. I don't know. But yeah, eventually we will, maybe Mohawk co-ops down to Turner's, or, you know what I mean? Who knows?
I know.
Who knows? But it will change. We're not going to, what we're living now, we won't be living in 10 or 15 years, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
And we're going to both be here as,
Heck yeah.
we'll be seniors,
We'll
we'll be senior citizens, and we'll be like, wow, look at where we were as a youngster. And I remember when I was suiting up with a team of 60, and now we're down to 2 teams in the area. And the Greenfield powerhouse teams used to have to go play Springfield teams, classical, have to go up against Holyoke High, Chicopee Comp. Now they moved down into the Inter-County League, and they even struggled in that league in their own little community. And now eventually, you never know where it will be in 20 years.
Yeah, we'll be competing with the Berkshires. You know what I mean? That's probably the most, makes the most sense.
I think that's true.
Maybe they might head out past, the Quabbin Valley, that way, maybe find some competition there. Who knows? They'll try to make it as fair as they can, however it works out, but we're always going to be undermanned in this area.
Yeah.
Just are.
Yeah, and it's really sad how the changes are happening, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing is when you start talking about sports in general, and this is where we can slide into this for the next few minutes. Yeah. You look at all these different schools and you say to yourself, one of the biggest things that was a shocker to people was the fact that all of a sudden our hockey program turned into a co-op program. But what benefited this area for that one reason is all those kids all had to go to the one rink that was in the community to play.
Right.
So when you have the Collins Merlin Arena as your base for all these kids, right? Now these kids all know each other because this is where they were based out of.
Right.
But when they went to a different high school, they could play for the Turner's team or they could play for the Greenfield team. And they had the co-op amongst 2. Now, you look at what Adam Bouchard has now, he's got the 1 gig with all these talented Franklin County
Well, now they can compete because you've got all these kids.
Now you can compete. That was our point. That's my point I'm getting to is I think that if you got down to 2 teams and you are a regionalized program in 20 years, we might have pretty good football around here for the couple of good teams we got.
Well, heck, I mean, like I said, we kind of tossed Frontier out of the mix, but I mean, even now, you get the 5-6 kids from Pioneer that came down to Turner's. They've been a godsend for that program.
It's really true.
If Mohawk had joined Turner's and Pioneer this year, think about the depth they would have had and the talent they would have had. Again, so absolutely. The more you can get, the better you're going to be. And it'll be interesting. Like you said, Frontier's holding its own, Greenfield's holding its own. Franklin Tech's doing extremely well.
Extremely well.
The others
and they're the growing school right now.
Oh, absolutely. And they're doing a great job in every facet.
It's true.
And it shows in the sports programs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good coaching too.
Yep, absolutely.
Now you start, now we slide into what we like to call dynasties, but you say to yourself, a dynasty in Franklin County sports. How does Sean McDonald do 14 consecutive Western Mass championships, no matter what group of girls he brings in, and now he does this year after year? How can you think about this, Sean? You've been doing what you do for almost 30 years.
Yep.
Can you imagine there being a football program that came out every single year and just dominated year? And all it is the same kids that are all going to a community school. Boom, boom, boom. Sean McDonald. It's amazing, brother.
We have some special coaches in the area. I mean, Gary Mullins.
He's the softball guy, which we're going to get to. I was going to get to this. I was going to get to our talk about Missy Mahar and Aaron Thayer. How do they keep taking those 2 programs? You know what I compared?
They're good at what they do.
I compared Aaron Thayer and to Missy Phillips. I compared those 2 ladies of what they've done over the last 10 years to making their waves of what Sherry Webb and what Vi Goodnow did at Frontier and down at Smith Academy with their field hockey programs.
So good at what they did for so long.
They're so good at what they do.
They put a lot of effort in. A coach that is that successful, I mean, and I just know from, again, being around Chris LaPointe and being around Gary Mullins and some people with some sustained success over time, and they put their heart and soul into it. They put their life into it. It is their life for that season and on the off season too. It didn't go out of their mind. But that's it. You're very talented people. And they can take some kids and motivate them, and they can see their talents and figure out the way to maximize them and how to communicate with them. I mean, there's just so many pieces to it, but that's really what it boils down to in my mind. You're not that successful by mistake.
No way. No way.
Period.
You're doing everything right.
You're doing everything the way you can.
And you got every single one of your athletes buying in to what you're doing.
Of course.
But that's what you need, though.
Of course.
To be a good team, you got to be a team. It's a word. It's really true. It's team.
Best effort from everybody.
And for Sean McDonald to do what he does at Frontiers amazes me.
Phenomenal.
And then you look at Gary Mullins, and every year Turner's Falls is always there, year after year after year. And he does this, and he does it with class and dignity. And he
doesn't like to take credit for
Never.
anything.
Oh, ever.
Doesn't want to take any credit.
No. He could have just won the record-breaking game of the universe, and as far as, and he'd be like, oh yeah, I think somebody told me about that. He's not keeping track of that stuff. Or, oh, I think somebody told me they read that in the paper. He'd hit some milestone, and that's when I mentioned it to him. He's like, yeah, somebody said they saw an article about that or something.
Right.
Like, he doesn't even know. He doesn't pay attention to that stuff. He's focused on winning each game. When I was coaching baseball a couple of seasons ago, I get in there, I got a list of kids and where they might have played position-wise before, what grade they're in. He comes in, the girls softball behind us. Every one of those kids, they got their bag, they got their bats, they walked in, it was like a troop. And they came in, boom, they got their spot, they got to work immediately. He introduced a whole new style of hitting last season, something he'd been working on for years, and he'd been studying it. That's what they did. So again, that guy comes in with a plan. You know what I mean?
He comes in with a plan.
And he works hard.
And you know what? Those are called programs. There's a difference between teams and programs.
Yes.
Sean McDonald runs a program.
Yes.
Gary Mullins runs a program.
Yes.
Those two girls running their field hockey programs are running programs because I'll tell you why. They're bringing up girls from 7th and 8th grade to come up and start playing with them because they don't have a lot of numbers. So that's what's great about someone like Aaron Thayer and Missy Maher is that they're able to get these kids from their area to come up and play early. And that is only going to benefit them as long as the kids can stay healthy. And I'll tell you right now, I can't see Frontier or Greenfield field hockey going anywhere.
No.
And I'll tell you right now, Sean McDonald's still got a bunch of young girls that are on this Frontier team that still made it to a state championship.
Yeah, amazing.
Good
run.
I mean,
great run.
God.
Yeah, great run.
So when you really think about this whole package, Sean, we are very fortunate to have some wonderful coaches in this area.
Oh, we are. And again, it's fun to see. We talked about Mohawk a little bit earlier, but for football anyway, it takes a very special group of guys to be able to get together and to be able to get to the point where they can win a league title and press on through the playoffs or get into the playoffs. And I enjoy seeing that as much as I enjoy watching Gary Mullins go for another state title. I enjoy Franklin Tech when they're having a good season and getting into the playoffs. And Turner's Falls, they've had a prolonged success under Chris LaPointe. So it's almost expected in Turner's Falls at this point that they make the playoffs, or at least they have a good year, which they have every year. But
it's true.
It makes it a little more special when you see some of the underdog teams. Pioneer when they won their Super Bowl.
That was unreal.
Was right, Curtis Weaver. And,
how about that shot that was made during basketball season by Garrett Cody against Huzik? Hits the three, man. I mean, that was crazy.
Right. So fun to see those kids be able to get out of this area and go do that.
The 4th and 23 last year, Turkey Day.
Yeah, that was great.
I mean, if you look at these special moments, those are memories that these kids will never forget.
Always. We'll never forget them.
I know. It comes to my mind, see?
I was reading the article today, and I was reading, I think it was 60, might have been 62, I know it was before I was born. But they talked about Ed Margola having a touchdown catch in that Thanksgiving Day game. And now, of course, Butch passed away here a while back.
Yeah, he did pass away. He was a great guy, too. And he was a great quarterback, man. That guy had an arm, man.
Great guy. And he was my accountant. And anytime I'd go in to see him, he'd always pepper me about the season. So what do you think about,
Because he was a football guy.
Oh, he still loved it. So it was just neat to see his name. In today's paper, Ed Margola caught a touchdown in 1962 or whatever. That's cool, man. He's part of the fabric of what this is in this community. And we always stayed interested in it, and a lot of guys like him.
Well, I always tell everybody that we have a lot of community leaders in our community, and I have always considered you as one of our community leaders and Turners. And you, Big Lou Collins. You guys care about those kids, man, and what you guys give back to letting them know that is huge. There's a guy who left the area, and I always like to give the guy credit because I think that he gave a lot to this community, and it's funny because he grew up as a Mohawk kid, but Mike Reed gave a lot before he moved to Florida, to the community of the kids, and helping the kids. And you'll never, ever love more than what the coaches that we have right now in Turner's. You talk about Chris LaPointe. You talk about, you got a great coach that you had with Kenny Wilcox. He ended up retiring because him and his wife retired. But he brought that basketball team back on the map.
They were competitive.
Yes, exactly. And you got Mully. And Mullins, you don't even have to say. He's an automatic, okay? But I just want you to know that we're pretty darn fortunate to have some wonderful people. And, let's go back even years ago with volleyball. Deb Loomis, she was amazing with what she brought back in the day.
Debbie Loomer.
Loomer. Thank you. Debbie Loomer, right?
She was my PE coach.
Okay, but she was a great volleyball coach back in the day.
She was very good at it. She was very good at it in high school.
She knew
how to bring in all those big girls that were really tall.
Yeah, no, she was. Again, that's really what it's all about.
Then you slide on the other side of the river,
and you got Erin Thayer with their field hockey program and how well she's done. Of course, for the years and years that they've had Tom Schuschnigg being the coach, he's an institution.
He's an icon.
He's an icon, Bud.
He's an icon.
He is the guy.
He's won more games than
exactly
most kids ever played.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. So the commitment.
600 wins, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's just amazing.
And he's in the Hall of Fame for Massachusetts coaches, him and Mullins.
Yes,
all right?
He is. Yeah.
And someday we might even see Thayer and Phillips even there.
Absolutely.
And Sean McDonald's is going to be there.
Absolutely.
And who else is going to be there is when you talk about it is what about Joe Chadwick, the #1 winning coach of any sport teams, of anything. And because it's cross country and because it's track, nobody ever talks about it. But Joe Chadwick, look what he's done at Mohawk for all those years.
Yes.
So we've got some great things happening here in Franklin County.
Yeah.
So when we think about what's going on around of numbers or this or that, you know what it really comes down to? It comes down to who's going to lead what players want to play. That's what it should come down to, right?
Yeah.
It's like Jeff Tirrell and Shawn Hubert are still going to go out and broadcast the game, whether there's 25 kids on the field on each team or there's 60 on each team. It doesn't matter. You're there on game day, right?
Absolutely.
So they have to think of that same thing as a coach. Okay, I have 20 kids to work with. Let's make the best we can make out of these 20 players.
Yeah, we talked about Doug McLeod. He started with 13 this season. I think he has a roster of 15 now, or maybe 16. It ballooned. I don't know. Maybe that many. But yeah, again, he never sat and cried for his team or cried for himself.
That's right.
He just he pressed on and they worked hard and again.
Exactly.
If they finish this season, congratulations to them, and they'll look forward to next season. And they'll get better.
Well, Bud, next time we get together, it'll be 2019. It's our summer get-together as we get ready to start the new season. And you're going to be starting your 29th year with you and Jeff Tirrell.
Yeah.
And we get to talk about what's going to happen. We'll talk about the milestones that happened in 2018. We always do a recap, so we'll do that. And I think there's a couple of really good things that we should be pleased with. I think there's a future of Greenfield High School football with this 8th grade team. I'm telling you, they're good. They had a great year.
I remember Braden Stack.
Okay.
And I remember that kid in middle school, in particular in 8th grade. And the kid was dominant. I can't wait to watch this kid run. He never ran for 1,000 yards in a season. Now, he got dinged up a little bit.
'Cause he was tough.
He was a tough kid.
He was tough.
But he never reached that milestone. So it's, what they did in his 8th grade year was great. He was great. The team was great. It didn't equate to success at the high school level. So because they were successful now doesn't necessarily mean it's going to equate to success. Now, that'll be the fun part to watch.
Right.
Can these kids still be dominant? Can they still win big?
There's 3 parts to that puzzle. There's always 3 parts to that puzzle. There's the team that wants to work together as a team. There's the commitment that each one of those kids put in as 8th graders that want to put in the commitment to high school. Continue on. And coaching.
Of course.
If you don't have those 3 elements and 3 pieces of the puzzle, then guess what? You're going to have what happened to Stack. Kid looked great in 8th grade, but boy, he couldn't withdraw through his high school year, and he never was able to break a G.
No, I would have thought right through his sophomore year. So he started as a sophomore. Junior year, he got nicked up. Senior year, he played, but. Again, and they were dominant when he was in middle school. So, I temper that slightly just because I've seen that before where you got that group of kids, right, and there's so many things that have to happen for them to continue with their success. But it'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to watch to see how it does develop. And I wish them the best. I really hope that they are successful. It's always exciting to have a successful Greenfield team. And man, again, one thing that Jeff and I just love, no matter who it is going and beating the away team, going on the Berkshires and seeing these guys in the playoffs. And it doesn't matter who the team is. And the whole community rallies behind them.
We do. We do.
So
and no matter what the community team is that ends up going on, we all root for them as a group.
And it would be fun if Greenfield gets there one of these years and was able to actually get out there and compete with some of these bigger schools in the playoffs. That'd be fantastic.
I'm one of your biggest fans.
Hey, brother.
And you know why I'm one of your biggest fans? Because you have the same attitude I have. you care about these kids,
Right.
and you care about this community. And another thing, too, you're pretty darn knowledgeable, too. So
some goes in, some
all
goes
right.
out. I can only retain so much, but yeah, I do my best.
Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
Hey, you too, man. I
All
appreciate
right.
it very, very much.
All
Thank you.
right.
So we wrap things up here. Another edition of our Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Shawn Hubert from Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turner's Falls. Also want to thank Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Also by our friends over at Denny's Pantry, Burniston Road in Greenfield. And by Mark Snow, Linda Snow, the fine staff over at the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Burniston. For John Meisner, Philippe Simone, I'm Bobby C. Have a great one.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game and be sure to join us next time for more sports and fun.